seconds. 7 seconds. Matthews one-on-one with Grady. Matthews trying to create space. Dowden fires! It's an air ball! With .6 on the clock! And now Aldridge, somebody has to touch it. High school quarterback tosses it in, and it's over! Davidson is going to the dance!
Davidson does it! Atlantic 10 champs, Bob McKillop, back in the NCAA tournament. Rhode Island will be there as well. But Davidson, a surprise and a bid stealer on Selection Sunday as we welcome you to Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance. Adam Zucker alongside Wally Zerbiak and Danny Granger. And despite making only one bucket in the final 14 minutes, Davidson holds on for the win.
This is a prolific offensive team that made 16 threes yesterday. Today, they had to do it with their defense. They held a great offensive team in Rhode Island to only 38% shooting. They executed on the defensive end of the floor. They got the stops they needed. They had to be gassed.
Yeah,
I mean, Peyton Aldridge and Grady played 38 and 39 minutes yesterday. To come back with this type of performance, mentally and physically be locked in, that's how you earn a trip to the dance.
And they ruined a lot of nights for a few teams across the nation that was watching this game.
Oh, yeah.
Kellen Grady, 6 of 13 from the field, 2 of 5 from the 3, 17 points, 1 turnover. He played outstanding. Great defense at the end on that last possession. Hit a bunch of clutch baskets down the stretch for this Davidson team. Peyton Aldridge played well. It was an amazing game. It really was.
They'll be elated into the night. They don't have to sweat out the selection show. Some of the teams on the bubble, of course, do. Make your free throws, kids. Yeah. 12 out of 13 at the line in the second half in a 1-point win.
And Rhode Island only went 9 for 17 from the free throw line. So if they would have made their free throws, that could have made a big difference.
And both teams had their chances.
Yep.
You know, Davidson got out to the start. Rhode Island came back. They pulled away, and Davidson right there, led by the freshman Kellen Grady.
There were so many times where Davidson had a chance to make it a double-digit game, and that the threes just weren't falling for him. And Rhode Island, when they finally got that lead back, you thought, well, Rams might take this thing, but no.
Well, Rhode Island's defense is going to be great. They're going to be tough to score on. They defended the rim very well. Langevin had a couple huge blocks to protect the basket when it looked like they were maybe going to get some easy buckets. But I give Davidson a ton of credit. They continued to attack. Some of their shots weren't falling. Their legs had to be dead tired, but they found a way.
And to be honest with you, none of us have a horse in this race. You know, we don't care who wins these games, but it's a lot more interesting now that Davidson has won. They're going to steal somebody's bid.
Yeah, this was the only game of the day on Selection Sunday where a potential bid stealer was going up against the team who knew it would get in with an at-large. Everything else was 2 teams who would be at large, no problem, or a 1-bid league around the country. So let's get you caught up. 5 automatic bids up for grabs, and in the Ivy League Championship, a game of runs between Penn and Harvard. A 17-2 run by Penn to close the half, and 19 points by Darnell Foreman before halftime of their 34. He didn't score in the second half. Harvard seeing one of their best players go down here, Wally.
Yep, Ivy League Player of the Year, Seth Towns. He gets injured. He would not return. So Christian Juzang had to step up, and he did. Harvard took the lead by 1 at that point, but then Ryan Bentley, big and 1, gives Penn the lead back, and then down the stretch, a chance to tie for Juzang. No good, and Penn is dancing. The Quakers are marching on to the NCAA tournament.
A late 9-0 run. How about Steve Donnie? You remember he did it with Cornell, then went to BC. Now he's back in the Ivy League, gets it done, and the Penn Quakers, for the first time in 11 years, are on their way. Remember, Harvard had made it a few years in a row, and now it's been 3 straight years not making it after 4 straight years of getting there. SEC Championship, Kentucky and Tennessee. The Vols trailed by 17. Admiral Schofield had 17 in the first half, puts the Vols on top in the second half, Danny, as they go back and forth.
But here come the Wildcats, Bade Green with the no-look pass to Kevin Knox, who finishes with the layup, and then Lamont Turner for the Vols. He hits the deep 3, Tennessee up 2, and then Kentucky's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander with a nice spin move and the layup, and then Sasha Keller-Jones with the putback dunk. Tennessee's Jordan Boone hits the 3-pointer. UK only up by 1 at this point. Gilgeous-Alexander with the step back, which will inevitably seal the game.
And they end up sealing it at the line. 5-point game when that shot even goes off. 77-72, the final. And Kentucky wins the SEC Championship for the 4th straight year. Rick Barnes, though, does take away Coach of the Year, but John Calipari's team trying to round into form right on time. Gilgeous-Alexander with 29. And so here are all the teams that know they are in the NCAA tournament with the Sun Belt in action right now, and the American, of course, still to come here on CBS. But congratulations to all those teams who can watch the selection show leaning back. Now to the Sun Belt. Georgia State. Let's get Coach Hunter back in there. DeMarcus Simons hitting the three on UT Arlington, Danny.
UT Arlington's Kevin Hervey, he comes and nails another three there. Georgia State's DeMarcus Simons, he drives the lane, makes the layup, he's fouled, makes the free throw. Kevin Hervey from Arlington knocks down the three-pointer. And here Georgia State's gets his own rebound. He finishes with the putback.
And so that one's still going on right now, but a 12-point lead for the Panthers. And now that Davidson's Atlantic 10 championship has been calculated by Jerry Palm, his new last four in include Butler slipping down into the last four in, St. Mary's. Now 3 spots from the cut line. Trae Young and company really sweating it out down the stretch. And Syracuse, by Jerry Palm's calculations, is the last team in the field as a result of Davidson being a bid stealer.
Well, here's what you get when you do have bid stealers. I think the bubble gets stronger. And when you look, those teams are now slipping down a couple spots because of San Diego State winning out in the Mountain West and Davidson winning here in the A-10. So you got a team now like St. Mary's that's all of a sudden on the bubble, and Butler, who last week they were squarely in the tournament, but now they're going to be sweating it out a little bit come 6 o'clock tonight.
And this is why, as a coach, you want to make sure your team knows that you have to seal your fate early in the season.
Yes.
You don't want to be in this position waiting on if a bid will get stolen or not to determine if you're going to go to the NCAA tournament. It makes those games in December and November a lot more important now, don't they?
Well, yes. In fact, everyone at Arizona State would like to remind everyone that was November and December they had some big wins because Arizona State, Butler, Oklahoma State, they have wins over teams that are expected to be 1 seeds at this point. Now, it gets worse. There is Jerry Palm's updated first four out. Now, remember who started the day in the last four in? Marquette is the team that Jerry calculates is the one bounced from the at-large pool as a result of Davidson winning the Atlantic 10 championship moments ago. Louisville, winless against the RPI top 50, but oh so close in that crazy finish against Virginia. USC, runner-up in the Pac-12 championship game, also on here. And Arizona State, Bobby Hurley's team, after Danny Hurley's team can't beat Davidson, but Jerry had them several spots away. Notre Dame and Oklahoma State, for those of you interested, further down on Jerry Palm's projections at this point. So if Marquette wasn't worried enough.
I know, and they have a team that's really, they have a lot of firepower with their 2 guards, the way they can shoot the basketball, but defensively, I just think they let a few games get away. They were very close to beating Villanova a few times, and if they could have squeaked out a win like that, I think that would have made a big difference for their resume. But it's got to be heartbreaking seeing these results, seeing that you were possibly in the tournament, and if you are left out, it came down to a couple bid-stealing conferences that have happened the last couple days.
And you can't say you didn't have an opportunity. They had ample opportunities to do it. Who I look at this Arizona State team, I would love to see some humor from the committee and put Rhode Island against Arizona State. I don't know.
Maybe a 7-10 game.
Maybe a 7-10 game. Win today.
Oh,
it didn't work today. It didn't work.
Dana Jacobson could do a second chapter on her piece. All right. Of course, we have Houston and Cincinnati tipping off in the American Championship. Bottom of the hour. What do you think?
I'm excited. Both these teams, great defensive teams. They split in the regular season. This is the rubber match. I think the key is, can Rob Gray figure out a way to score somehow? Because you know Cincinnati's going to really try to suffocate him. Corey Davis Jr. right there, he's got to be key because he can really make threes.
It's going to be a defensive bloodbath.
Bloodbath.
Yes.
There you go.
2 great defensive teams.
Rob Gray's not scoring 33 points in this one?
No,
I don't think
23.
Maybe 13.
Put a black eye.
Jim Nance, Grant Hill, Bill Raftery, Tracy Wolfson will be on the call. Congratulations again to the Davidson Wildcats, Atlantic 10 champions. Coming up next, the American Championship, as we count the minutes until the selection show.
It's my #1 because it has everything. A tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS.